set up tomorrow. Now, they're doing this in East Camden, but it's a fundraiser for the Harmony Grove Hornets. Right, Doc?
Yar.
Is that right?
Yar.
Is there any way that can be misconstrued?
No.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
No.
But we had somebody asking. They said I said something that I might have said. So, there's no telling. I'm a little stupid from time to time.
Well, there's
comes with the job.
That
so
you say that you shouldn't say.
Well, is that. Flaming Pig, by the way, they're going to be doing that Harmony Grove fundraiser tomorrow in East Camden. They'll be set up over in that little gravel parking lot area. SAU Tech, they've got multiple job openings for you to have a career in higher education, and you can apply online at sautech.edu. Go to careers, click on the job title you're interested in, and after viewing the job description, click the apply tab. SAU Tech, baby, go Rockets. St. John's Place and Washington Nursing and Rehab. You can find out more about them on their websites. I mean, they provide award-winning short-term therapy services on top of all their other stuff. St. John's Place of Arkansas.com and WashingtonNursing.com. First Choice Family Care, that would be Dr. Jericasha Smith, her and her staff. They understand that choosing the right doctor for you and your family can be stressful at best. Dr. Smith and her staff will help take the pain away from that process. Go to myfirstchoicecare.com. Get you a new patient packet, then give them a call, 870-800-9006.
Hey, and we had some new news, too.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and jump in there now?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
We'll have a physician assistant starting soon.
Ooh, a PA.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's good. We needed a PA.
Yeah, so it'll open up some same-day slots where if you have a walk-in, we'll try to have more walk-in appointments available.
So if I'm feeling rough that morning,
yeah,
I can go ahead and call you, and there's a good possibility I'll get in.
Yeah, at least better than recurring.
Better than average, anyway. Well, I mean, and I want to talk about that here in just a second. Let me get through this. Mitch Lowe's Body Shop, auto body and collision repair, framework, glasswork, and refinishing, all accidents, large or small. Mitch Lowe's handles them all from 2025 California. If you put it in the ditch, you better call Mitch at Mitch Lowe's Body Shop, 837-2560. Everybody's Antiques down in El Dorado. They got a bunch of antiques, gifts, and collectibles. Ooh, and this weekend is Dollar Days. They're having their blowout throughout the store on Saturday. $1 and $2 items are everywhere. So you just have to go out there and take a look and see what you can find at Everybody's Antiques, corner of Bradley and West Hillsboro and El Dorado. And finally, by Cabin Rural Health Services. They're a private nonprofit corporation developed to provide affordable health care to the folks down in Hampton and Bearden and Hope and, well, just all over south and southwest, southeastern Arkansas. There you go. If you want to know if you're in their area, just go to their website, cabun.org, or call 870-798-4299. We're going to take this break. You guys hang out. We'll be right back.
It's time to check the Radio Works South Arkansas Community Bulletin Board.
The UAMS mobile memo van will provide on-site mammograms for women ages 40 and over at the Hogskin Holidays in Hampton. The memo van will be on the Calhoun County Town Square on April 8th beginning at 10 a.m. Mammograms are by appointment only. Call UAMS Mobile Mammography at 1-800-259-8794 to schedule your appointment. With or without insurance are eligible.
Good Thursday morning, boys and girls. Sunny skies in store for you today. Temperatures should reach near 78 with winds coming out of the south-southeast at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Now tonight, showers and possibly a thunderstorm are expected. The overnight low should be right around 52. For Friday, slight chance at showers. It'll be mostly cloudy with a steady temperature around 58. Then Friday night, partly cloudy, overnight low near 38. Out of the Radio Works Weather Center, I'm JJ.
Local sports update.
Hello, sports fans, with a look at local games and scores. I'm Kelly Blair. Camden Fairview's baseball team was ambushed on the road on Wednesday, falling to Crossett by the score of 18-10 in a conference makeup game from Tuesday. The loss drops the Cardinals to 4-3 overall, 1-1 in conference play, while the Eagles improved to 4-3 overall and 1-0 in league action. The Eagles jumped on the Redbirds early, scoring 3 in the first, 9 in the second, and 4 in the third to build a 16-4 lead. lead. Camden Fairview battled back with 5 runs in the 5th, but can never completely stop the home team's attack. Crossett finished with 13 hits, while Camden Fairview had 2 errors on defense. The Cards did have 11 hits of their own, led by 3 base knocks from Colton D. Woody, which included 2 doubles. Carson McKinney was 2 for 4 with 3 runs batted in, while Logan Robertson also had 2 hits. Dayson Conley and Aaron Alsobrook also drove in 2 runs each. Camden Fairview will now get back to action today when they host El Dorado for non-conference action. Game time is set for 5 p.m. at Camden Yards. That game will be broadcast on Fox Sports Camden 97.1 FM. The Camden Fairview Lady Cardinal softball team will take on Monticello today on the road for an 8-4A conference game. Start time is set for 5 p.m. The Arkansas Razorback baseball team completed a 2-game sweep over Grambling on Wednesday with a 13-3 victory in 8 innings. The Diamond Hogs will now host Kentucky to start SEC play on Friday, starting at 6:30. And the Arkansas Razorbacks finally get started in the NCAA tournament tonight, taking on Vermont in one of the last games of the first full night of the tournament. Game time is set for 8:20 with pregame radio coverage starting at 7:45 on Fox Sports Camden 97.1 FM. That'll wrap it up for now with your sports update. I'm Kelly Blair. I'm the best there is at what I do, and what I do is sports.
Good morning, South Arkansas. It's time for the Washita River Report for Thursday, March 17th. Starting out with the river in Camden. Current gauge reading is 8.67 feet. At Thatcher Lock and Dam this morning, the current gauge reading is 77.24 feet. And at Morro Bay State Park, the gauge reading is 67 feet. All Arkansans are within 1 tank of gas to the many beautiful waterways that can be found here. Floating and paddling the Washita River is a chance to experience the beauty of Arkansas from an interesting vantage point. Our family-friendly river goes past a picturesque landscape that includes scenic bluffs in its upper reaches to scenery such as swamp bottoms filled with cypress trees as one approaches the lower sections. Now along the way, you can picnic, watch wildlife, and fish. Radio Works urges you to learn more and explore your river. Reliability of this forecast is based on current forecasted river and weather conditions for the National Weather Service in Little Rock. Y'all have a great week and be safe.
You know, to be Irish over here is a special feeling. We turned up and you're celebrating our national holiday, St. Patrick's Day. It's amazing. And we're like, look at the spirit. These people are all getting involved. And then we realize, hold on a minute. Are they calling it St. Patty's Day? Patty is a woman's name. Patty spelled P-A-T-T-Y. We have Paddy, our patron saint, P-A-D-D-Y. One little letter, big difference there, right? And then I really home in on it. And I'm like, wait a minute. Does it say Happy St. Patty's Day in a 4-leaf clover? What has, you know, those green things with the sides on 4-leaf clover, 4 leaves? Lovely. I mean, it looks nice, but it's got nothing to do with Ireland. We love a good shamrock, very central to Irish culture, 3 sides to a shamrock. 4-leaf clover, nothing to do with Ireland. That's the equivalent of me getting a tattoo on my arm of a pigeon and being like, go America.
And we're back on the round table. Welcome to the studios, Dr. Smith.
Good morning.
Morning, Dr. Smith. How is every little thing on St. Patrick's Day?
Perfect.
Are you going out drinking a bunch of green beer today?
No, I'm going to try not to.
Try not to? Trying to avoid that? Hey, is green beer bad for you?
I don't imagine so. I try to stay away from additives, but, you know, every once in a while.
Well, it's got those preservatives, right?
Well, and, like, I didn't realize how much until I started drinking a soda that doesn't have all the additives. It's like, there's a lot of additives in soda that are just to make it look like what you think it should look like.
So you're drinking a soda without additives. What is that, sparkling water?
No, there's, at Brookshire's, there's something called Zevia, Z-E-V-I-A, and it's a stevia sweetened drink. And it is carbonated water, stevia, natural extract, and then I think it's like potassium or something, like something for shelf life.
All right.
But potassium citrate, but it said it was naturally sourced.
Okay, so I had that picture of club soda.
There's only 4 ingredients in it, and my favorite one is the root beer, but it's not dark colored. And then I realized they make it that color because we think it should be that color.
Well, I mean, it's soda pop. It's
so
supposed
they
to be
just add random things in there, just
unless it's Sprite or 7-Up, it's supposed to be black.
Oh, that Zevia, if you ever get them, every single one of them's clear. the mountain Zevia, the Dr. Zevia, the like Pepsi colored Zevia, like the blue can. It's all clear.
You know what? I want to check that out.
We like it.
We did have some questions come in, but before we get off into that, I want to talk just for a minute. So you're getting a PA, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Do we know who it is yet? Or
Yes,
are we still vetting them?
I'm pretty sure he starts on Monday.
Fingers crossed, we've got him hooked in. Okay?
I know, seriously. I hate to say that something's going to happen before it starts, but so he'll be starting to train next week, and hopefully start seeing a few people here and there throughout the week.
Okay.
As we kind of get taken off a little bit.
Sounds good. So that's going to now you've been talking about expanding anyway and getting you a bigger office, you know, and so we can get the Walmart size office now.
Oh, well, you know, I can't. I plead the fifth.
Yeah, the old Walmart's for rent, you know. I know a guy.
I don't want to rent. I want to buy.
All right, I know a girl that can hook you up on that one, okay? So let's see. The pandemic has made us all appreciate healthcare workers just a little bit more, but not every doctor is going to be a good fit for you, boys and girls. Here's a couple of signs that you might need to find a new physician.
Oh.
Because Dr. Smith is always taking new patients.
Yes.
All right, get your new patient packet at myfirstchoicecare.com.
And follow us on Facebook.
Absolutely. Now, if you don't feel comfortable talking to your doctor, all right, now check it out. Your doctor needs to know lots of intimate details that you might not necessarily share with your family or friends. So if you feel like you can't disclose things to them, it might not be a good match. There's one thing I can tell you about Dr. Smith. She's easy to talk to.
And
she's not all judgy either.
And every doctor is bound by what's called HIPAA, and it's a privacy act, and it's more or less like a felony for me to break your medical confidentiality. What you talk about with me in that room is between you and I and people that we decide to either refer you to, and the only way that ever changes is if I think you're a danger to yourself. And since you're not my loved one, you're not living in my house, I've got to make sure there's some plan with somebody that's going to take care of you and keep you from hurting yourself or others.
There you go. Now, if the doctor doesn't respect your time, like if your appointment starts an hour late and when they do get there, it feels like they're rushing you, well, it might not be a good fit either. All right, you need somebody that you can talk to and that you can take your time with. And again,
and
wow.
Sometimes if you take the time during the exam rooms, the other appointments run late. But I promise, like some days I'm later than others. But when it comes time for you sitting in front of me, you get the time that you need. If your government insurance says 15 minutes and you need 20, well, you get 20. I get 4 people like that, and now I'm already running 20 minutes behind.
20 minutes behind.
But those, who am I to say that, no, I'm going to cut you off. Nope, 15-minute, bye. This mid-sentence, I'm going to walk out.
Done. Okay.
Exactly. So if you appreciate a doctor that's going to take time with you in the exam room, the time that you need, we do have to try to, respect everyone. And so we may need to make multiple visits if you have a lot of concerns. But I'll take the time that we need to, and that may make me a little late one day than the next. But when it gets to you, I'm
It's your
100%
time.
there.
There you go. Now, if the office staff is unprofessional, this is a problem that Dr. Smith has a lot. Okay, no, I'm teasing. The girls and guys over there are wonderful.
Yes.
And they are most helpful. So, except for that girl, Trees. I am so teasing Trees. All right, let's see. Oh, and if they're never available, now a good doctor is going to be available for follow-up questions and concerns. If it takes several days for them to get back to you or they don't respond at all, find a new doctor. And you can find a wonderful one at myfirstchoicecare.com. Get your new patient packet, and then call Dr. Smith's office.
And on that last note, I know that sometimes that can happen, and we always like to be aware of that because we're really trying to change, the way we do things to try to keep things like that from happening. Of course, we're all human. Things happen, but we really do try to look into why things and try to change over time. I've never owned a clinic before. I've never employed myself. And so in the past, if I had a problem, we went to the management, right? And then now I'm the management. So.
Now she calls Trent and says, What do I do? I'm teasing.
We call him HR.
Oh, that's whose office I'm going to be in. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Doc Bryce, are you over there?
Mhm.
All right. Well, I mean, I hadn't heard anything from you.
We all talking doctor stuff though.
Well,
I'm not that kind of doctor.
What do you look for in a doctor, Doc? What does Doc look for in a doc?
Someone who can actually talk to me without closing their eyes. My last doctor did that. It was weird.
Closes and rolls their eyes every time you open your mouth?
No. They like when they're just explaining something to me. It's like their eyes close and then they speak.
Maybe they were like autistic or something.
An autistic doctor?
Yes, it's actually fairly common because autistic people can be very high functioning and they can be extremely smart when their area of interest aligns with their profession. And so you can get an individual that knows a lot about the human body and as a specialist, and really they have like sensory processing. And so like closing their eyes or looking away while they're talking to you is one of the hallmarks for autism. Not making good eye contact during conversation is a hallmark for autism. And just because you have autism doesn't mean you can't be very highly successful. But I've seen doctors that people think they have a really bad bedside manner, and I've wondered if they were autistic because I've noticed that even when I've talked to them, they never make eye contact. And they struggle with social cues. So the autism doesn't always understand all the fine details, noticing that somebody's getting frustrated. It's like they tend to not see those social cues. And so I've seen doctors accused of being, having a bad bedside manner when I really think that they were probably autistic, but they were so high functioning, they've never probably been tested.
Well, you want to talk about missing social cues. That's me.
Well, hang on, man. I'm adding something to the signs you should find a new doctor.
Oh. When they close their eyes?
I would think that an autistic individual would be excellent. They're not going to let social stuff get in the way.
You want to talk about somebody that's going to follow the details.
Yes, they are going to be exactly verbatim what they should be doing, and then out of that, they're not going to mess around with social cues. They're not going to mess around with how you feel about things.
Nope, they're
going to tell you the exact truth.
Well, I mean, my
I got
old
a nephew that suffers from autism, and I promise you, he does not beat around the bush.
Well, I mean, my old doctor, he shot from the hip. He was straight on. No sugarcoat. This is how it is. You're going to die.
Yeah. I can promise you that.
Yeah.
I can't tell you when.
But when?
I can't tell you how.
Eventually. Can you give me a timeline? Oh.
I had a patient share an experience with me yesterday. She visited somewhere. She was visiting somewhere, and the people did blood work on a child and told her that the results were abnormal and she needed to call my office, and then would not tell her any other details about what was abnormal.
Oh, somebody be getting their butthole.
And so by the time she was in front of
you do that with me, but you can't do that with my kids, okay?
I know, and it's her baby. And so it's like, they just kept telling her that something was abnormal and they needed to call my office. And it's like, if your doctor orders a test that then they don't, if they themselves, like Lindsay and Autumn, frequently call with my lab reports while I'm in rooms, right? If not, I would not be able to see the number of patients that I see. And so to be a resource for this community, I have my nurses do things that they are qualified and confident in.
Well, they can write down the information.
Exactly. I tell them exactly what was going on. I send them that note, and then they can call you while I'm still seeing patients. And if you want to talk to me, we can schedule a visit, because I'm not ever by a phone. If I have a phone visit scheduled, I will go find the phone and do it. But otherwise, I'm not available for phone calls, much to my husband's disappointment. I don't ever shady button him.
You can get Trent on the phone a whole lot faster, okay?
If you got Trent on the phone, you've probably been bad.
I don't know, man. He picks up when I call.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Not the office, though. He's
not
usually
the
at
office. No.
And if you have Trent on the phone, you may be suffering from a fire.
Yeah, well, if you want to reach the doctor's husband, just dial 911. Scream, fire! Teasing. We did have some questions. Oh, before we get to the questions, though, you were giving us kudos at the beginning of the show as a state.
Yes.
Apparently, we're doing good. You people have been washing your feet.
And if all these people from France and Hong Kong or wherever would stay away from Arkansas, Arkansas.
We'd really appreciate if you keep your foreign butts out of here. But
I think in the peak, and I'd have to go look at the numbers to be sure, but I think in the peak of this most recent wave, the Delta wave, I think 80,000 infections in Arkansas, and we are down to 1,700 in the whole state.
1,700 statewide.
Yes. So Pulaski County, where Little Rock is, there's like 270 cases. Benton County, Bentonville is only 120.
Bad people.
So, I mean, those are like big, busy with lots of population density, and they only have 120 cases in the whole county.
See, and that's just amazing from where we were.
I know. And so I had somebody express concern about like the rising levels in France of some other variant.
Well, Doc, you said that we had 2 new ones this week?
Yeah, they came out and said there's two new subvariants of the Omicron, but they won't say what they are. So I don't know if we got pie or what. Pie, cake, ice cream, I don't know.
We like pie. we like pie.
I've said before, and in case somebody wasn't listening before, if you like history and you enjoy reading or listening to books read to you, I enjoy Audible, where I like to be doing something else and listening to a book being read. The book, The Great Influenza, is an excellent book. A lot of things that are going on right now, you feel like super scared about and like unsure, and it seems crazy, and there's all these crazy theories as to how it's happened and why they think it was bred in a lab or something. But you go read that book, and that was before they even understood germ theory. They didn't even know what a virus was back then. And it's almost verbatim the exact same thing. And it's so funny because this book, I think, was written in the 90s about the 1918 flu. And he keeps referencing, he's like, the pandemic, the likes of which never will be seen again. And it's like,
well, here I am. What are your other 2 wishes?
So, but that's a really excellent book. It was so good, I think I'd probably reread it because it was just really well written.
And it's called the Great Influenza.
Yes, and if you're a history fan, it talks about all the changes in medical history and the history of medicine leading up to that point, and then also all the political things that were going on and like how that influenced the First War and then actually influenced the Second World War. So it's a really interesting book.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
I love history.
And if you love history, you'll love that because it not only does these big picture strokes, it also isolates little people that were in the thick of it and follows their storyline through it.
See, now I love that.
So it has these big strokes like medical history, and it's not overly like medicine, but he does break down some really important things, scientific things, down into very understandable language. But he has these big picture swoops of things that were happening politically and then like the masks and the mask mandates back then and how people, these big pictures, news things, and then he takes these little isolated people's stories and are weaving them in through the whole thing. It's just a really well written book.
See, and the problem that I have with the pandemic back in 1918. People actually listened to their doctors back then.
We didn't have Google back then.
And unfortunately, some of their doctors weren't worth listening to.
Yeah, well, I mean,
once you know more about the medical history.
Okay,
Some of those doctors didn't really have a lot of medical training.
We have doctors today that are smarter than ever before in history.
Yes.
All right. I mean, you guys have been trained and learned so much.
Well, and just
so much stuff has happened.
Discoveries.
To boost the knowledge that we have about the medical industry at this point.
They're more gooder than they were before.
Yes, they are much more gooder.
Much more gooder.
Much more gooder.
But that book is really excellent. I think anybody would enjoy listening to it.
All right, let's see some questions. You got time for some questions this morning? Can you explain why doctors use experimental drugs and treatments on their patients? Now, this particular person was talking about clinical trials. Is it ethical and okay to use experimental drugs on patients?
I definitely don't think so against their knowledge. They should know that they're signing up for an experiment. What I would say is that there's a lot that goes into drug trials and clinical trials and getting things approved. There has to be some data before it gets approved for human studies that it should do what it should do. So there's test tube type things, there's theory type things. Those things are taken to animal-based studies, and then it's proposed to reach human studies. And those human studies always have like a board of ethics that review and then like will either approve or not approve those things. So for example, like medications during pregnancy, you'll notice that there's no medicine that's like, oh, this is for you to take during pregnancy, right? And that's because when it comes down to having a study and saying, okay, we're going to give metformin to these pregnant women and give a placebo to these pregnant women and see if anything terrible happens. All right.
Yeah. Well,
and then the medical ethics committee
good thing I'm not a pregnant woman. Okay.
the board of ethics says, no, we're not going to do that. Right? And so one of the frustrations about like pregnancy things is that it kind of trails behind, because what has to happen is that there has to be enough case reports of women that took that drug while unknowingly pregnant.
Right.
And then nothing terrible happened to their children. And then we can start doing things like that, right? So it kind of lags way behind, like especially treatments for like depression and, blood pressure, all kinds of things. That's kind of a much more restricted what is able to be offered, just because it takes so much more time to gather cases of that drug being used in pregnancy and nothing bad happening, right? So whenever clinical trials, people that sign up for clinical trials most of the time are either really well paid to do it, and then you could get a discussion on whether that's ethical, but your body, your choice. Or
if you need an extra $18.99,
or they have a condition that there's not another treatment for, and it's a Hail Mary pass at living.
Well, yeah, we saw a pig heart transplant that was one of the first of its kind. And gentleman, that was in it, number one was a felon, and everybody had a whole bunch of issues with that. But
why he couldn't have a transplant?
Right. But the procedure in and of itself was a success.
Yeah.
So, he didn't have any other choices. It was going to be, way past the time that he could get a viable human transplant.
Yes.
So the doctors gave him this option, and he decided to do it.
And it's a scientific experiment, and it may fail, but sometimes it's the only choice you have.
That's the only choice you got.
I had a friend that her husband was in the ICU at UAMS and was not getting better from COVID. And that was back when new drugs were coming out to try to treat it. And she was looking for clinical trials to get him enrolled in because she was afraid her husband wasn't coming home.
Right.
I would rather have some side effect of this medicine and this person be alive than to not have this person.
Absolutely.
So yes,
now, I'm sorry,
ethical.
Go ahead. Ethical. Yes, it's ethical.
At least how it's done here. It's very hard to get things passed by committees, the boards that review those types of things for human studies.
Well, before you can move to human clinical trials, there's a whole bunch of things.
Those ethic boards, like UMS has an ethics board. If you've ever been in a group of doctors and psychologists that are discussing whether or not something is ethical, God, that's like jury, is
back and forth, back and forth,
and
back and forth.
Just goes on forever. We had an ethics class, and he liked to bring up strong things that people had really big opinions on, just to try to undress it down to what is really ethical. And a lot of them were things that there's not a really clear answer to.
Okay. Next up was, I heard there is a mobile mammogram setting up at the Hampton Festival. Is it safe?
Yes, usually the mobile mammogram machine is actually from UAMS. So I anticipate that if there is a mammogram over there. That's a weird thing to have at a festival, but cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Wear a button-up shirt,
I-
no deodorant. That's a weird part. Ooh, Arkansas, no deodorant. That might not be.
it's April, man. Well, it's not going to be warm. Right, Doc?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Still winter time, man.
Yeah.
We'll have another snow before we go.
Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow, right? Or didn't see his shadow.
No, he saw a shadow.
He saw his shadow.
What's
Yeah,
that
because
mean?
the other one died, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that one died, and then the other one went into shock.
He fainted.
Yeah.
What?
So yeah, we get an extra 6 weeks of winter.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's going to be cool.
Yeah, it was.
No deodorant, ladies. You don't need it.
Not for the mammograms.
Don't even bother shaving your armpits.
Hey, stick it to the man. We're going to be feminists on here, huh?
Who dog is? Okay, so Doc Bryce, you mentioned earlier we have Google.
Oh yeah, I got the YouTubes too.
So
I've seen the YouTube doctors.
this one, you're going to love this one, Doc.
Mm-hmm.
How trustworthy is WebMD?
It can actually give you some really great information. What I do find with WebMD is like it's probably a pimple or cancer. Like it's not like it. Like I guess it could be that, but the likelihood. But what WebMD doesn't have is WebMD doesn't see. Okay, well you're a 60-year-old man that smoked your 2 packs of cigarettes your whole life. Yeah, it's probably cancer, right? Like or it's like it doesn't have any history, so it kind of goes through like a lot of different things it could be. To me, there's better websites if you know more about what you're looking for. Like familydoctor.org is made by family physicians. And then also there's one called healthychildren.org, and that's made by pediatricians. And so a lot of times you can go find things on there that a family doctor or a pediatrician has looked through and like made it just like the type of stuff that I talk about in office visits.
So it's not taboo. It's just you never know because
I
it could
don't mind
mislead you
if you
and
look.
it could take you down the wrong path.
It may be a really good idea for some people because if you go and you look and it helps you understand like different options or have good questions to ask me, then great. There's a group of people that you know who you are and you have health anxiety and you think every tickle is cancer, right? Do not go WebMD. Just call your doctor.
That's Doc Bryce.
See, they must be doing an algorithm or something because I mean I filled out the questionnaire. It took me like 30 minutes.
And now you got uterine cancer.
Well, no, I got to pick. It was either I've been dead for 3 years or I have PMS.
Sometimes PMS does feel like that.
All right, we got time for one more. And, this one's a doozy. You're going to love this one.
Okay,
All right.
hit me.
How should I bring up sex issues with my doctor?
Oh, just blunt. Yeah, just lay it all out there. There's a lot of different issues.
Are you saying don't beat around the bush?
Oh, whoa.
When you're having trouble beating.
Oh, hey. Waka waka.
When you need some smashy time help, those are medical terms.
There it is. It wasn't working. So.
There's a whole bunch of things that can contribute to that question, and what I think about that would be based more on the question asker, like, is this a female or is this a male? Is this a male that's having personal physical problems completing things, or is it a male that is in a committed relationship and has more interest than his partner and is struggling with how do I, address that? But definitely talk to your doctor. Like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. And if at all, like the questions earlier, that you don't feel like you can talk to your doctor about something, then it may be time to get a different doctor, right? And you may want a special doctor for that. There are actually, like, sex therapists, and it's amazing.
Like
because
Dr. Ruth back in our time.
There are sex therapists that can work through what exactly are your intimacy issues. Because some people, what they'll find is that they still have, like, they may have trouble completing the sex act as a man, but then other times they can have, like, nocturnal erections and, like, spontaneous emissions and things like that. So things still work, but they're not working when you want them to necessarily. And so there's a lot of different layers to that. And it is a sensitive topic, but it's one worth talking about. Like, having a satisfying life that fulfills your needs is important. And just because it's taboo, like, I have a lot of people that are really upset about the Red Panda movie, talking about that it's a teenage girl. She drew pictures of a boy that she liked, and he was an older boy. And it's like, what 13-year-old kid hadn't, like, fantasized about a 17-year-old kid? Like,
Well, I'm wanting to say that a lot of people forget what it's like to be kids. You get so wrapped up in wanting to
big
protect your
feelings.
kids that you don't take that into consideration.
well, and I am 100%. The reason why people can't talk about sex now openly and honestly in confined, appropriate situations like with your doctor is because the way you were taught about your body and about sex had a lot of shame put on it. And I would tell you that God made it. Like, we can't let the world have it. God made this, right? This is meant to be a part of our spiritual experience. I mean, read the Song of Songs. Like, there's some pretty, like,
Sultry.
passages in the Bible. Like, don't be ashamed about these things. Your body is natural and amazing. The fact that we're even alive after the end of a pandemic, right? That I get women all the time that they're not really interested in intimacy because they have a lot of self body images. And it's like, a lot of them, it's like, you've made entire humans. Like, there are people walking this earth that wouldn't be here if your body hadn't created them, right? You are amazing. You've done amazing things. And when you can accept yourself for who you are, that you are valuable no matter what you look like or don't like, whatever, that can do a lot towards moving towards a healthier sexual life, really. And being able to openly talk about things, that the Turning Red movie is really funny. I really appreciated it. It is about a 13-year-old girl, so my kids watch it. I don't think that's what they'll need therapy for later. Like, I don't think that's going to be the thing.
You can watch Rambo and need therapy.
But
okay?
and then there was discussion that the mom talked about periods, and it's like talking about big human feelings, those preteen feelings where your body just feels like, I know what I'm supposed to do, and and then I have these other things that I know I'm not supposed to do, and it's like talking about those things and bringing them out in the open. It's like all feelings are acceptable. How you feel is acceptable. Not all actions are healthy or permissible, right? And so like that, the girl having these feelings, it's like she's trying to hide them, and people are saying that, is like near pornography. There's some doodles about her hugging a boy. Like, who, like, tell me who hasn't done something similar? Or imagine that you were marrying someone or something, it's like, they're teenagers. They do it.
Part of growing up.
Sit there and write the other person's last name attached to their name over and over and over and over on their book cover.
That's Doc Bryce at YesRadioWorks.com.
No, I didn't do that.
The games you used to play is you picked out these things, and when you drew this, it said like who you pick 4 names, and when you drew it, then it picked that person was the person you're gonna marry, and then
the little paper thing.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things like kids.
4 and
it's all feelings are acceptable. So to try to shame people for how you feel is not okay. Like, your sexual life is important. Your child, teenager-wise, is developing this. Let's not introduce shame and body shaming. I have people as like, oh, like, that's dirty, don't touch. Don't use words like that about people's body parts. Our bodies are wonderfully made. The Bible's very clear that we are made according to God's image. There's nothing wrong with your body that the Lord himself didn't put there. So now some things are private things and some things are public.
Some of you are designed a little better than others, okay?
But, trying to keep shame out of how people feel about their bodies and their sexual life, that's a big deal.
Absolutely. Dr. Smith, thank you so much for popping in this morning.
Yeah, I got to go do a circumcision.
Yay.
Talking about
body and
sexual
things.
organs.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for sharing, Doug.
Yeah, talk about body shame.
I'll let you know how it comes out.
Before you go here, you got a Ah, yes, there
I
you
get
go.
paid in burritos.
Well, we got to take care of our doctor. Bye, Dr. Smith. It's the Roundtable, boys and girls, brought to you each and every weekday morning by Steel Deals at 1615 Mount Holly Road in Camden. Dial 870-231-5622. Stories Floor and Carpet. 2004 Lorraine and El Dorado. Dial 870-862-9446. The Flaming Pig Barbecue. They'll be set up in East Camden tomorrow for that Harmony Grove fundraiser. If you want more information, go to their Facebook page or dial 870-818-5984. SAU Tech. Learn more about techs at sautech.edu. Go Rockets. St. John's Place and Washington Nursing and Rehab. Dial 870-352-2104 for Fordyce and 836-4111 in Camden. First Choice Family Care. Get that new patient packet at myfirstchoicecare.com. Then call 870-800-9002. OCMC's Chemical Dependency Unit. You're not alone. Call 870-836-1289. All calls are confidential. 1-800-232-1289. Michelo's Body Shop. If you put it in the ditch, call Maria at Michelo's Body Shop. 837-2560. Everybody's Antiques in El Dorado. Dollar Day sales are going on this Saturday with the sneak preview tomorrow night on Facebook. They'll do a Facebook Live event. You can call them if you want to learn more about all of that at 870-875-1444 and by Cabin Rural Health Services. Cabin is a nonprofit corporation that is designed to help the folks that need it. Learn more on their website, cabun.org, or call 870-798-4299. What you got, Doc Bryce?
Well, I got some Glen bags.
All right, then I suppose we ought to get to it. You guys stay tuned. We'll be back.
Your name here.
News Talk 92 KBEU Bearden. News Talk for South Arkansas. News Talk 92 KBEU.
And NATO would be at war by the end of this year. I also said Iran, Israel, and the United States would be at war by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I also said China, Taiwan, Japan, Australia, and America would be at war. So it's kind of looking like that might happen.
Well, so the Ukraine-Russia one is pretty self-explanatory.
Well, yeah, Ukraine, Russia, and NATO.
Right. The NATO part hasn't happened
Yeah.
yet, but we can see the clear thread of that being
Yeah,
close.
it's coming.
Give
Yeah.
me, what's the Australia situation?
China, Taiwan, U.S., Japan, and Australia. This is mainly, as I saw it, this is mainly about Taiwan. And then U.S., Japan, and Australia coming up and saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. Because if they take Taiwan, the next thing they're going to do is New Zealand and Australia. Their power just is unstoppable. But they're also having problems with China. They were, one of the problems is they were selling coal to China, and now China is backing away from that. There's some other things that are also going on with Australia and China. They're not necessarily the friendliest of neighbors with each other.
And Australia is kind of warning about this, right?
Yeah.
They're coming out and saying this is a real risk.
Yeah.
Which is, I honestly, with everything else going on in the world, was not following that part of.
No, if China goes into Taiwan, I mean, for all those rich people who are like, I'm just going to take my G5 and I'm going to fly to New Zealand. Hope you can speak Chinese, because it's coming. Isn't that weird? I mean, look at that. These were reaches. These were reaches. Put this together in December and, sent them out in a newsletter right after the new year. My predictions for the year. They're always bold takes.
Yeah.
Not predictions, bold takes. I could see all three of these happening.
Now, normally, because my success in life is somewhat tied to yours, unfortunately, I root for you to be right on your predictions. This time, no. I want you to fail miserably.
I would love to be wrong
Yes.
on these. Again, that's not something, because there's some things that I feel, and then sometimes I think. Mm-hmm. And when I'm telling you I feel this, or that